So today is the final day. I'm just going to talk about is the break, because after that then I know everyone wants to play a frame against me, so I'm just going to talk about the break because I know everyone is interested in that. And the most important thing with the break is that it's all about, again, the angle of the cue. So what I mean is, if I break and the angle of the cue is like this, the balls will go in a different place than if I hit them when the angle of the cue is like this. So, as we know, when we break, we are trying to make what we call the wing balls. So we are trying to make the two middle balls into the middle, right? And the angle that these balls take towards the middle, so maybe sometimes it goes a little high, maybe sometimes they go a little low. All of this is changed by, for one, the angle of the cue, and two, the place that you strike the cue ball. And what's important is, as I said before, every table, it breaks differently. So sometimes it takes a few breaks during a match to work out where to strike the cue ball, which angle to strike the cue ball with the cue. But because the break shot is always different on different tables, you're not going to have somebody there telling you how to strike the cue ball, which angle, where to strike. You have to see this yourself, and the way you have to see it is you have to understand where the balls are going. Every time I break, even if I don't make a ball, I watch where the balls go. I remember how I hit the break, and if the ball doesn't go, I want to know why, and I want to know where it went. Because as I said before, if I know what I'm doing wrong, then I can put it right. So if I know that the ball is going high, then I know that I have to either come down a little bit and flatten the cue off, or hit the break a little harder. If then the balls are coming a little here, a little low, I know that I have either hit the break too hard, or I've got the angle of the cue wrong, or the placement that I struck the cue ball wrong. The most important thing to look for first is the spot. The spot on the Chinese 8-ball table is, the front ball is racked up on the spot. And this spot should be in an exact straight line in between the corner and the middle pocket. If it's too high or too low, even by a fraction, this affects the break also. Okay, so in this case, we're trying to make the 5-ball and then the 15-ball. The important thing is the angle of the cue, as we mentioned before. When you change the bridge hand, we're trying to keep the cue on the same line. By changing the angle of the cue, you can change where the balls go. And then also, following on from that, where you strike the cue ball. As in, if you strike it in the center, just below center, a little bit lower, there's a lot of different places you can strike the cue ball that affect where those balls will go. So the first one I'm going to break off, and I'm going to be a little bit steeper into the break, so I'm going to raise the butt of the cue a little bit, okay? And we have to make sure we keep an eye on where the 5-ball and the 15-ball go, because if I don't make the ball and I have come in at this angle, then I know I have to change something. But it's not only just, oh, if I don't make the ball, it's why didn't I make the ball and where did the balls go? You know, it's not just unlucky if you don't make a ball. There's a skill to it. And the skill is not only the way you hit the break with the angle of the cue, but it's knowing if it's missing, why it's missing, and then you have to put it right. So, okay, the first one, I'm going to bring the cue a little bit higher. So I'm going to come in like a little bit steeper. So, you see, I'm going to come in a little bit higher, right? Like this. So you see the angle of the cue now is more like here. And the way I'm getting higher is by using the loop bridge. See, the 1, the 5, okay? The first match, you've not played on the table before. That is the way I would hit the break to start off with. But if those balls, what I also saw is, did anybody notice where the 15-ball went? Did anybody see where, no, it didn't go in, below the middle. Yeah, okay, so the 15-ball hit here, right? Yeah? So, but the 5-ball went straight in, yeah? Now, if both of the balls would have hit here, if the 5 ball also would have hit here, then obviously I know I've got to change something. So that is how I would break first. If they would both have hit there, then that would have told me I hit the break a little bit too soft. Because not only when you hit the break too soft do they go here, but also sometimes if the cue is a little bit flat, so the angle is a little bit lower, that also makes the balls go lower. If both balls hit here, then this tells me that I either hit the break too hard or the cue was too steep. But had I ever not made the ball, then I would just adjust exactly as I just said. Either hit it a little harder, a little softer, or change the angle of the cue. As I said before, it's not just unlucky if you don't make a ball. You have to work out why. Because if you hit the cue ball in the right place, with the right trajectory of the cue, you will make the balls into the middle. It's just finding that right place with the cue ball and with the cue with the right speed. And because each table breaks a little differently, I've told you how to do it, but I could go and play on this table here and it would be a little different. So it's up to you to work out exactly. So I've just told you the formula, really. I've just told you the 4 different ways. So there's the angle and the angle, or there's a lot of different angles in between. There's not just 2. You know, if you come in here, you know, there's a lot of different placements until you get flat. So depending on the table you're playing on and where the balls are going, you have to change this yourself. So that is the way to break, and a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people think they just hit the cue ball and they just have to hit it a little harder or a little softer. There's much more to it than this.